This is Sam with Dream Big, and this is episode 1 of Food for Thought. Who do we have here?
Stephanie, the Taste Studio.
With the Taste Studio. So Stephanie, first and foremost, how you doing? How you feeling? Talk to me.
Okay, so I'm doing awesome as per usual. Okay.
Of course.
Because I'm here with you.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's awesome. And, feeling it.
Now let's talk about this. Episode 1, how I wanted to do this podcast, video cast, whatever it is. The person I'm interviewing they have a drink of choice that they would like to drink with me as I interview them. So, Steph, what are we sipping on right now?
All right, we're sipping on some Socks and Sandals by Humble Sea. This is a nice little hazy. Let's see.
Good.
What is the percentage on this sucker?
We got a 6.6.
Weak.
Lightweight. But hey, we may have had a couple before this, so, so perfect. So, Steph, tell me, how did you start Taste Studio?
Well, I started in my garage. As you know,
Mm-hmm.
you and Hill were there for the very first event, and it wasn't always the Taste Studio, but we won't get into that. But yeah, I started in my garage, just like most people. Yeah.
Gotcha. So, I mean, why this route? Why go and get into clothing? Why not anything else?
I've always been a creative person since I was a kid, right? But since I was exposed to fabric and scraps of fabric, because my mom made all of our clothes growing up, I feel like it was like the natural route to go. Like, clothes was just the thing, Yeah. And I am kind of good.
You are. I mean, you're killing it. You got a whole shop upstairs. Is amazing. So you mentioned, you see the name Taste Studio. What is the meaning behind this name here? Talk to me about it.
Nothing crazy, okay? Listen, this is the reality of it. Like, it's simple. There's a term or like a comment that you might hear, like, "Oh, you have great taste," and that's really where it comes from. I always heard, "Oh, you have great taste," and I feel like I do have great taste.
Hey.
And studio is obviously like the production space, like where we make the tasteful things, But the reason I really love Taste is like the name Taste. It's so much more than like style. It's not just clothes. I mean, it's more than that. Style is more than that. It's the way you carry yourself. It's the way, like, they say, "Oh, you have good taste in music. You have good taste in whatever," right? Mm-hmm. It's like a whole thing. It's not just clothes. So I think it embodies like everything.
I dig it. I like that. All right. It's good to know that. I never knew the full meaning behind the name. I mean, let's talk about your growth. You mentioned Hill, my wife, and I. We were at your first launch party.
Yes.
That was in your guys' garage.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, where are we sitting right now?
In my shop.
In your shop. So let's talk
Yeah.
about that growth, right? I mean, you've been a huge inspiration for me as far as growing Dream Big, and creating my little clothing things on the side. But your growth from the garage to an actual shop, and then you have the whole upstairs area as well. Let's talk about your plan for the next year, and then a plan for your next 5-year plan. What does that look like?
Well, let's go back to the growth part, because I feel like that's actually the most important thing that people need to realize, that it's about being patient and playing the long game. And that goes along with my 5-year plan. I'm just playing the long game, so I'm not in a rush to get anywhere. I just want to make sure that I'm doing it consistently, and then I'm doing it right, and then I'm getting better every year. You know what I mean? That kind of encompasses the whole 5-year plan, next year plan, like overall. But as far as the growth, that was definitely like little by little, and a lot of patience, and just, playing the long game.
You want to just go with the flow and see what happens.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I mean, because how long have you been in the game?
Oh man, how long has it been? I think when we did that event in the garage, it's 8 or 7 years, 8 years. I think it's been 8 years. But yeah, it's been crazy. But I think, like I said, persistence. And one thing that is really big for me is sustainability. And I'm not trying to be like a super big, like mega fashion house, because that wouldn't go in line with my values, which is overall sustainability, you know? So, yeah.
8 years in, and how many years with your shop and the upstairs now?
Upstairs, almost 4.
Okay.
And down here, just a little over a year.
You hear that?
Little by little.
Play the long game, and all your wildest dreams will come true.
Crazy.
So now, all these beautiful clothes that you make, how can the people hearing this podcast, videocast, whatever we're going to call it, how can they find your clothes?
Well, first of all, you come to the shop. You can come and hang out with me.
Where's that located?
1016 J Street, Modesto, California. Or Shop Taste Studio.
Yeah.
shoptastestudio.com.
Awesome. Beautiful. Yeah. So one question I'm going to be asking everyone that I interview. You know the name of my business, right? Dream Big Jobs. Mm-hmm. Dream Big has always been my motto growing up.
Yep.
What is your definition of dreaming big?
My definition of dreaming big is definitely, like, it's in the name, like not being scared, you know? If your dreams don't make you scared, they're not big enough, pretty much. So dream that big, don't be scared of it, because if it happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, like, find another dream. I don't know, but we grew up with like not a lot, and I was always able to dream big, and I just knew it was going to happen. So I think part of that is, you know, just believing in yourself and keep working every day to do that. But, you know, there's the difference between dreaming and doing, you know. Dreaming is what you do in your sleep, and executing is what you do when you're awake. So I think that's important.
Is that a Stephanie quote? I mean, that sounds beautiful. I'm about to write that down. That's crazy.
Get out your notes.
I agree with that, right? Because a lot of people have dreams and goals they want to hit, but what do they do to get there daily? Right?
Exactly.
And you mentioned the long game a couple times.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
Is to just create a game plan and follow it.
Yeah, I also think that dreaming big is also sometimes dreaming small, right? Start with the small things and you'll get to the big things. I think people get really overwhelmed when they're like, I have to do all this. Okay. But when you break it up little by little, like you could do it, you know? So.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Awesome. One last question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What's one message that you'd like to send out to the people that are listening to this to give them a little motivation?
Okay. Well, how much time do we have?
Hey, spit what you gotta spit. You got all the time in the world. I know that your husband and my wife be hungry, but it is what it is.
Listen, okay, so first of all, the word motivation, I always felt like very drawn to it because I'm like, I'm so motivated. Motivation is crap. I think that's something that people need to realize from the beginning, because we could be motivated to do something for very short periods of time, but it's discipline that will get you there. So that's my biggest thing. If you're disciplined, when you're doing the things that you don't want to do, when you have to do them, that's discipline. Motivation is doing it when you want to, right? And we don't always want to. So that's one piece of advice. My second piece of advice, I'm telling you, we're going to be here for a while.
Keep going. I got a full beer here I need to drink, so keep doing your thing.
Okay. So my second piece of advice, I would say for like younger people, is read more books. And I feel like this is something I've been really talking about lately, because I only got into reading books when I was like 25. And I feel like I really did myself a disservice by not doing that sooner, because the more that we know, the more creative we could be. And the more that we learn from books, whether they're fiction, nonfiction, history, or personal development, all those things teach us things. And it allows us to be more creative, right? Because if creativity is only rearranging the things that we already know, if we know more, we could rearrange them in even more ways, right?
I love it.
So books, that's a big thing. Education.
Let's stop there real quick. Number one book that you would tell someone to read off the top of your head.
I think it all starts with habits. So Atomic Habits, if you want to go that route. Yeah. And then like I mean, do you want a second one? Because I'm going to give it to you.
But let's go.
The other thing that it takes to really develop this skill is discipline. And there's a book called Discipline is Destiny. That's the second book that I would recommend. Okay. And then just have fun with it. It doesn't always have to be educational. Just have fun with it, because creativity is also fun. You know what I mean? But it also, like, you can't, like, you have to know things. Like, you have to kind of be smart too. Okay, so that's it on that portion.
Gotcha.
What is the other one I had? Don't be afraid to ask questions. I think that a lot of people, it makes them nervous, it makes them scared. It makes me nervous also, but I've had to really take myself out of that mindset, because the smartest people ask questions.
That's very true.
How you get answers, you know?
Don't be afraid even to ask questions to those people that you're afraid to ask those questions to, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's so many people, whether it's, hey, you signed up for a half marathon and you're training, right? It's like, all right, I need a coach. Let me hit up this individual who I don't even think he's going to coach me. But hey, you reach out to them and they are going to coach you.
You did that?
I did that. Shout out to Joey.
That's right? Joey.
But that's the thing, right? And that goes with everyday life, business. Is don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah.
Right. People talk about mentors all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And mentor is great to have, but you can have multiple mentors is how I feel like, right? Mm-hmm. And it goes back to asking those questions. Yeah. You can't be afraid to. It's simple.
It's true.
What's the
harm?
Worst thing that's going to happen?
Like, the worst thing somebody could tell you is no.
Yeah.
That's like the worst thing that could happen. Okay, so for my final piece of advice.
Talk to me.
Oh boy, I just had it. Okay.
Think it through.
I just had it.
You got it.
Oh, this is another thing. You don't always want to be the smartest person in the room, because that's not how you grow. You want to surround yourself with people who, first of all, are going to inspire you, not just motivate you, because anybody could be a hype man for 10 minutes, right? But you want people who are going to help you grow. And if you don't have people, find books. So never be the smartest person in the room, or try not to be. And if you are, go to a different room.
Humble yourself.
Exactly.
Sit down.
It's good for your ego.
Be humble.
Sit down.
I love it. Well, hey, Steph, I really appreciate your time. It's awesome to be here in beautiful Modesto, hanging out with y'all. I love it. I mean, I don't know why people knock Modesto. Y'all got some good food. They've been giving us this food tour around Modesto and Turlock. I mean, jeez.
If you want to get fat,
cruise on through. Well, hey, good times.
That's right.
Can't wait to see you continue to grow. Much love. Thank you for tuning in to episode 1 of Food for Thought. Until next time, peace.
Done. You can just post that.